Tonight's lesson plan shows how to properly leave Afghanistan.
I was attending a social affair several weeks ago, and a gentleman swung by my table and said, I really enjoy watching your movie reviews and your TV show. And I said, thank you very much. He said, I really like the way you mix politics in with your reviews. Okay, thank you. Trouble is, I don't really agree with your politics. I like watching them, but I just don't agree. Well, you're part of the problem then. So, yeah, all kidding aside, it's not that I'm trying to infuse politics into reviews. What I basically try to do is be your purveyor of truth and point out all of the woke agendas that are being inserted into the movies, because some of them are so subtle that if you're not looking for them, they'll slide right by you and they implant themselves in your brain like tiny seeds to grow later. But sometimes the political aspects of a movie are so intricate to the tale that you really can't help separating them. That's what happens in tonight's lesson plan. Now, let me go back a little bit and set this up for you. When our current illegitimate president and his regime took over the White House, it didn't take long for them to prove not only were they illegitimate, they were incompetent. By the way, they continue to prove that on a daily basis. It's frightening, all right? But their first and biggest guffaw was in this horrendous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Now, just to back up a little bit, President Trump had a plan to withdraw from Afghanistan. He too was tired of the 20-year war, and his plan was very systematic and kept us in control of airfields and what have you. But that plan, because it was Trump's, and because everybody in this current regime is stuck with Orange Man bad, Trump derangement syndrome, they couldn't use that plan, or even parts of it. No, it must be bad because Trump had the plan. So they went in with another plan, and these buffoons botched it completely. As you know, they left over $85 billion worth of high-tech equipment, turned it right over to the Taliban, who took over the country within a month. They had some of our soldiers die, over a dozen, on the last day of withdrawal. They left hundreds, some estimates say thousands, of our workers and people who were helping us in that effort, and just ignored them, turned their back on them. Absolutely horrendous, embarrassing, destroyed America's reputation with our allies, emboldened all of our enemies. Just an utter disaster. So this movie deals with that concept, but it turns the situation around and states in cinematic fashion how very possibly it should have been done, or how the world would have liked to have seen it done. And the best part about it is, it's not an American that made the film. This guy's British, and he did a damn good job. The cinematic class is about to begin. Your professor is in. Greetings, Salutations, another sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies, and tonight's lesson plan, probably obvious now, is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Folks, this is a really powerful movie. It's a little over 2 hours, so yeah, I think there are some scenes that could have been cut. I'll explain that a little later. But the movie is rather intense, and although it has some of the Ritchie trademarks, it is really a to the wall type of drama that is providing and in Ritchie's way, he is very critical of Biden and his cronies. Have you ever seen military leaders so weak and pathetic, really? And he's lambasting them, but doing it in a very nice and subtle way. Okay? I'm sure if they watch this movie, they won't even know they're being lambasted. So what we have here is a really an interesting story. We have Sergeant John Kinley. He's played by Jake Gyllenhaal. And John and his specialty team are tasked with going through Afghanistan and finding Taliban munitions and then destroying them so the Taliban can't use them. One key member of their specialty team is Ahmed, and Ahmed is played by Dar Salim. Probably most of you will know him from the Game of Thrones. He was born in Iraq, but he's was raised Dutch and is considered a Dutch actor. But he's very good in this movie. In fact, he outshines Gyllenhaal.
Why you want this job?
I need the money, sir.
And what was your profession before this?
Mechanic.
You good with cars?
Anything with an engine.
Oh yeah? What's this?
That's an engine, sir.
You patronizing me, Ahmed?
No. I would never patronize an officer, sir.
How long you been here?
5 years.
You like it?
It's a job, sir.
Well, Ahmed, this unit specializes in finding Taliban munitions and explosive sites. Basically, we get into trouble. Sadly, we lost our last interpreter.
Understood. And it's Ahmed, sir.
Oh. Yeah. Well, it's Sergeant, not sir.
So what happens in the movie is during the one of their last adventures as a unit, they come across a cache of weapons that the Taliban has. They seek to destroy that, but the Taliban are nasty people. When you destroy something they want, they tend to come after you a bit. And in the process, John is severely injured. He's separated from the rest of his unit. The rest of his unit is actually slaughtered. And it's just him and Ahmed on their own and probably about over 100 miles away from camp. So a big chunk of the movie is taken up in their adventure and trying to get from enemy territory back to their base. Folks, this is the one segment that is probably a little bit too long. Sure, there were incidents along the way and we see them, but a lot of them are kind of repetitious, okay? Some of them do set up conflicting theories among the Afghan people, but for the most part, it wears a little bit. Kind of like this part of the story is almost like, go back to those old Richard Harris movies, like A Man Called Horse, Man in the Wilderness, that type of thing. And it gets pretty brutal along the way. The beginning of the movie opens up with a lot of Guy Ritchie's modus operandi, if you will. There's a lot of quirky, snappy dialogue and humorous one-liners. By the time they get onto this trek, all that stuff has gone by the wayside, and the movie becomes rather tense.
John, you have tallies approaching.
You still don't remember a thing.
I don't remember any of it.
I only remember the interpreter. Why he wants this job?
I need the money.
Don't disappoint and turn out to be a pain in the ass.
No, not me, sir.
Money isn't the reason he wants this job.
The Taliban killed his son.
Stop the vehicle, Sergeant.
We don't want to go down this road.
You're out of your bounds, Ahmed. You're here to translate.
Actually, I'm here to interpret.
John, you have tallies approaching.
Well, I won't back down.
For 3 weeks, this family believed you were dead. We owe that man your life.
There wasn't enough for him to carry me across those mountains. Now he's hiding in a hole somewhere. I should be in that hole.
You could stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't.
Everything all right, John?
No, everything's not all right. There is a hook in me. Ahmed and his family are in trouble.
We can't intervene.
I am gonna have to get him out myself.
Listen, you're gonna be alone.
There ain't no
You gotta adapt. Use what you got.
If you can give me the location, I can get him out of the country.
It's too dangerous. You'll become very popular with the Taliban.
I miss you. Love you, Daddy. Love you, Daddy.
You think if I could be free of this debt, I wouldn't be? You think I have a choice? There is no choice.
No, I won't back down.
So, trying to get back to their base is really only the first half of the movie. What happens is because of his injuries, John is sent home. And it's only after he's home and healing that he finds out that Ahmed wasn't allowed out when everybody went away from Afghanistan. He was one of the great helpers who was left behind. And he is hiding. And he is on the lam, so to speak, because the Taliban has put him on their most wanted list. Not a place to be. Well, now John has to fight through the bureaucracy that is indicative of the Biden administration and how their refusal to admit that, you know what, we really did screw this thing up, but they won't accept any responsibility for that, nor try to help anybody. In fact, there are more private contract, I don't want to say mercenaries, individuals who are trying to help our people left in Afghanistan and doing a better job of it than our own government because Biden's got his thumbs up his ass. All right. So what happens in the movie is John decides to take matters into his own hands and go back into Afghanistan and try to save Ahmed and his family. And that part gets to be pretty exciting. In his own way, what Ritchie has done was laid out how Americans and the rest of the world would have liked to have seen the withdrawal from Afghanistan instead of that dumbass, retarded method that Biden put us through.
Hey guys, meet Ahmed, our new interpreter. Why he wants this job?
I need the money.
Money isn't the reason he wants this job.
The Taliban killed his son.
What do we do when someone saves our life?
John, we're going home.
John and Ahmed are put into an extraordinary circumstance.
There are two men that need each other to survive, and that's the beauty of it.
We owe that man your life.
I'm gonna have to get him out myself.
It's an inspiring concept, what one person's prepared to do for another. When push comes to shove.
Like any great action movie, at the heart of it is a real relationship. And I think in the end, you will be moved.
The movie says Guy Ritchie's The Covenant because he wrote it, he directed it, and he produced it. So it's pretty much his baby. Ed Wild is the cinematographer for this movie. It's the first time that Wild and Ritchie have worked together. And I wanted to bring up his name because he used a very interesting palette, especially in the scenes where they're in Afghanistan. And by the way, obviously they didn't film in Afghanistan. Spain is substituting for Afghanistan and parts of Turkey. But he uses a color palette that, well, it's not a sepia look. That would probably have been too heavy-handed. But it is kind of a brown palette to make things look dreary, washed out, kind of deserty, if you will. I know it's not a word, but you get the feel for it. Not a whole lot of greens or anything like that. They do some interesting spot colors to try to perk things up a little bit. Like the little tags on the soldiers' uniforms, they put them in red so that they stand up. But otherwise, everything is pretty drab, and it was a good collaboration between these two for the first time going around. You know, it's probably wise now that we take a little time and go back to the early Cretaceous period to check in with the nation's first and only prehistoric film critic, Rex.
Breathe. Is our way to fight a war. Our way to end a war. Ritchie tells an interesting tale of how we should have ended Afghanistan and not the way it ended. Chief did it.
Rex calls him as he sees him. Hey, I got to tell you, I really enjoyed this movie. It does go a little bit over 2 hours, but it moves well. And the only gripe, if you will, that I have with it is that trek scene is a little bit laborious. Other than that, the actors do a fine job. There's good action interspersed throughout to keep the thing moving. And even though the ending is a little bit predictable, it's still kind of fun to watch and see how it comes out. I think you like this one. I got to give you a caveat here, though. This movie, and let me back up a little bit again. There is a code, all right, among warriors. And any of you that have been in any of the martial arts or served in any of the armed services know about this code. No, it's not a set of rules, because generally when you're in a battle or war, rules can get you killed, okay? Just ask all those soldiers who had to work under the Obama regime and his rules of engagement and why people fled the military as fast as they could. Yeah, Trump fixed that. He fixed a lot of things. But all right, so let's get back to this. This code is one of honor, and that's really what this movie comes around. These two men from different cultures had a pact. They worked with each other in time of battle, and so therefore this code existed between them. And that's at the hardcore substance of this film. And it's presented through oodles and oodles and oodles of toxic masculinity. Yeah, finally. So all of you people who are, hey, sit your punk ass down and don't even bother watching this one because it's going to piss you off. In fact, maybe you should watch it because then you'll finally learn how a man is supposed to act and how he's not supposed to promote a light beer. Okay? Always saying enough here. This movie's an awful lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. And I know I enjoyed it. This is the second movie that Guy Ritchie has put out so far this year. It's been just a blast to watch. This guy continues to be one of my favorite directors, and he does not disappoint. He does not disappoint here, too. And just with a few subtle graphics during the credits at the end of the movie, he manages to say, Biden, you effed this up, and you should have done it this way. And it's effective. And now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth